stopped work on the house on the street.
Okay, died. So nobody's paying the bills. That's the scary.
We have to, today is Tuesday, the 17th of December, 24. This is the monthly East Haddam Historic District Commission meeting. All commission members are present except for Chris Miller. And we have no legals on the agenda tonight. We do have to approve minutes from October. And we will go into a discussion about the Brown Hill Mill because it didn't get recorded last month. And then also I'd like feedback on the draft that was mailed to everybody as well as emailed on the property owner's guide. This was sort of stolen from other municipalities in Connecticut. It's a draft. And I want to hear what people have to say. Be succinct, because I'm going to try to take notes about that. And there we go. So, good evening. The minutes are present.
For the minutes, I noticed they got our attendance wrong. Carl and I were there for that October meeting.
Pardon me?
For that October meeting, it says Carl and I were absent. We were there.
Okay. Joe, did you just say something? Joe? Yeah, you got copies of this in the mail?
Yes, I did. I got everything in the mail, and I was not at the meeting. Yes.
Okay. Right, we couldn't get you on. For the October meeting, you did participate by phone, I believe.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So in that sense, you were present.
Okay, so with those two adjustments, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay?
Second.
Any other modifications to that? David? Okay, ayes?
Aye.
All right, minutes passed. So the next is to sort of, I hope people had a chance to look through some of this. It was freely borrowed from other municipalities in Connecticut. Joe, did you get a copy of this in the mail, the Property Owner's Guide to East Haddam Districts? Joe?
Yes, I did.
Okay. In addition to the draft of a guide, there are also the town ordinance for the districts, as well as the state statutes on historic district commissions, and a list of properties throughout town that are on the National Register. Or I'm sorry, on the Connecticut Historic Commission inventory. And the National Register. So not everything needs to go into the property owner's guide, but it may be useful to have within it what the districts are and maps of each of the districts.
Well, let's go back a step. So what is the execution of this document in the sense of, it is going to be mailed to people, is it just gonna be sitting in a filing cabinet, what is the?
No, it would be mailed to people
Okay, so the idea is to mail this to everyone.
who lives in a district.
Suggestion number one, because of the fact that this is so long
Mm-hmm.
and almost unwieldy, because so much of it really is historical, it doesn't refer to historic district applications that have to be made. I would suggest number one, that we create an index so that if somebody wants to find out where such and such is, we'd know what page it's on.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, I
An
went
index or table of contents or both?
index,
Okay.
an index. Secondly, I went through this and everything seems to be fine, but I found nothing in here that has any address to signs. Now, since we have so much problems with signs.
I mean, the address is within the district.
Yeah, anywhere in here, there was something, parking lots, lighting, everything else, but I didn't see anything about signage.
Okay.
But here again, I think because of the holidays and everything, we should take time to be able to sit down and go through this ourselves. And put it off till the next meeting.
Once this is finalized, do we have a place on the town website to have this all posted? So that
It's not on the town website yet.
I know it's not on the town website now, but once this is all processed and any changes are made and we finalize it, mail it out, do we have a place on the website that we can post it and refer people to it?
Certainly, that could be done.
Okay, so I'd like to go back to my original question. So if this is going to be mailed.
Yeah.
To the property owners,
These would be mailed initially,
you know, I
and then
think,
everything would be on the,
I think as indicated here, it's way too long. I think basically, if you're gonna mail this to the property owners, I think you want two pieces of paper.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, as indicated.
4 pages, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Four sides, two pieces of paper on 4 sides.
Right.
And that's, cause if you mail this to the property owner, they're gonna take it and throw it away.
They're gonna be overwhelmed.
And I think the other thing is that I think we need to be a little more proactive in the sense of, it's a property owner's guide, you know, underneath that we mark it as, please read and retain.
Okay.
And then instead of introduction, you know, we should talk about the mission. The mission is to support the historic character and charm of East End. And then I think on page 4, instead of all this bold stuff about the general statutes and all that sort of stuff, we close with something that says, you know, in summary, you know, we look for you to cooperate in helping us retain a historic character and charm. And make it more succinct and tighten it up, but make it, like I say, more user-friendly, if you will.
Well, and
And get rid of all the other stuff, yeah, you're not gonna, you send this to somebody, they'll take it just.
admittedly, I've not been through it with Frank before, but I think something about, you know, inviting people to, when they're considering doing work, to come and have informal discussion with us in advance of applying.
Right, that's not,
Okay.
we can do that and it's not really covered in that.
The other thing is, if I may just borrow this quickly, to get to the point, I think all of the statute, the ordinance information, the description of each of the districts, I think this is great information for the website. And so from that page forward, I think needs to be removed from what gets mailed. It's simply referred to as, you know, for the town ordinances, for the description of the districts, for the state statutes, all of that. Here's the link to the town website where we can fill you in on all the details if you wanna go down that path and get all that level of detail.
I agree.
The other thing that we've had problems with in the past and will continue to, unless we can figure out some way to do it, is that when properties pass from hand to hand to hand, this information along with the historic district booklets are not passed on to the next owner. And even though the deeds do stay at the bottom, you know, this property is located in a historic district, it's way down at the very bottom, and I don't think even the lawyers look at it. You ever seen it on your deed?
I haven't looked.
So we need to somehow make an
Well-
arrangement
Well,
through the town clerk's office that as soon as one of these properties changes hands, she can just hand them the historic district.
or if we get notified,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, whoever sends it out, but somebody's gotta be alerted that it needs to go out, and it probably would be more effective if we got that information and then we would know that information,
Yeah.
rather than just have it go out automatically
yeah.
from the clerk's office.
Yeah, I tried with when Deb was running it and with all the stuff that the town clerk has got to do, this is the last thing she worried about was informing us when property changed hands.
Well, maybe that's another thing that needs to be moved up somewhere in the top on the mission as far as
Mhm.
as a homeowner, you're obligated to do this. If you live in the we don't really say that. If you start to go through this, we never really say, as the owner of a historic or a property in the historic district, you are responsible to do this. We don't say that. We just go into all this discussion about the importance of the commission and how do I know if my property is in a historic district, but we don't say you are and so to your point, I think it lends a little more credence to when properties get transferred, if it's known that with that transfer comes a responsibility. You know, that's
Yeah.
It's not optional.
Right.
Well, we don't even state that in the, like I said, that's why I think instead of introduction, this thing should be opening with more of like a mission, the mission statement or something, and, you know, you, as a homeowner, the last sentence, you know, the homeowner, you were responsible for ensuring, you know,
As a property owner.
whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, no, because, you know, not everything is a residence.
Yeah, no, the language, correct, I mean,
Right.
whatever the language has to be, but I mean, the point is, we stress the fact that as an owner in one of these districts, it comes with a responsibility to do this, to do something.
Well, may I suggest that this is a good idea? There are a lot of other ideas that are gonna come up, that if we take from now until the next meeting, each of us to write down these things, and then we can put them all together.
Mhm.
Of the things that I find missing, what you find missing.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Did
cause
you
you're
get a
right,
copy of this, Chris,
No.
in the mail?
Mhm.
All right,
I
you're
mean, I
right,
may
we should-
have, but I haven't picked up my mail in a few days.
yeah, it came within the last week, I would say.
yeah, we certainly shouldn't finalize it tonight.
We're not,
Right.
tonight's not the objective, it's,
Well,
this is for us to talk about it and figure out,
Paul's got a good suggestion.
okay? And I'm, already got 2 pages of notes,
Wow.
so.
Excuse me,
It's only 10 to 8.
what is this? What are we talking about? I'm sorry I got here late.
This document.
We've been talking for a while about the need to let people who have property have an obligation to come before the commission to talk about changes that they wish to make on a property, as well as what they can and what they would be able and not be able to do. And as David noted at the beginning, we put in something towards the top that says, you can come to us informally before you even ask for an application.
But doesn't that get a little confusing?
Pardon me?
Doesn't that get a little confusing? I mean, giving them all these options?
Well, no, we're
No,
gonna
it's
tighten
not
that up,
another
but basically,
option.
here's the
It's-
topic. the topic is informational document,
Okay,
so that's the basic topic.
okay.
This is the draft or a draft of the informational document. The informational document has got a lot of stuff in it, that we've already
But
started
there- and
to
there's
say,
also,
put that
and
on the
there's-
website, don't put it in the mailing. The idea is to mail something to the
Yes.
owners.
I agree.
And what we
With
mail to
that,
the owners
yes.
should be fairly short, succinct,
Mhm,
but we wanna make sure some of this, all this, the historic district definitions,
mhm.
you know,
Okay,
and all that is available to them,
yeah.
and they find that on the website.
Mhm.
So that's how far we've got.
Joe, have you heard this? Joe?
Yes, I heard it, and there's a lot of information that's been put out there that I'm definitely in favor of, especially the aspect of making it concise, but being very upfront with their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is good, but I need some more time to go through all the detail and, all the language there to really make any significant comments.
Okay, well, we're not making a decision on this tonight, this is, what we're, this is just something to work with, so. And then there are other parts of it after page 4, which wouldn't be something presumably that would be sent out, but would be available for people to look at online.
But this is talking,
This is completely
this is
new.
talking about shingles.
So,
You can
the-
hold up some older.
and then we can pick up on this next month as to thoughts that you and other commission members have, and I'll work on tightening this stuff up.
So Will, just to define, so this was done before.
This was done before a long time ago.
So I'm just explaining, so the idea is to take it
Yeah,
and update it
Right,
and reissue it.
but this is a newsletter format, which, 4 pages is ideal for a newsletter. We still have, as prior historic documents, an old guidelines for construction, which doesn't speak to modern or more contemporary tools and resources and materials that would be used or might be used. So that old guideline for construction was done in the late 70s, early 80s?
Well, the first district started in the
78?
sixties. Cause it was already in existence when I came here, in the first district.
One quick question about the district, it's just an aside, and we get it.
Right,
I'm noticing that it's interesting to me that East Haddam, on page 5, we defined historic district number 1, and it's called the Landings.
right.
That's the first time I've ever heard it called the Landings.
It's not,
The lower and
Because
the upper.
there was
Never-
the
it
lower
never had
landings,
it.
which is
Uh,
by Goodspeed, and the upper landings, which is,
I know what it is, but I'm
Yeah.
saying I've never heard, we always call it Main Street,
No,
no,
it was
it's-
always the East Haddam Historic
Historic
District.
or East Haddam
number
Historic
one.
District.
that's it, there's no other descriptor, the landings does not belong.
Cause that was another question too, I think that we should understand, because then I see we go right to Little Haddam Historic District number 2, so the format changes, we immediately call out Little Haddam in the front and Historic District number 2 as secondary. And then we call Millington Green Historic District. So the first one's reversed. It just says Historic District 1, and then it calls it out as a So I was interested what the history of that might be, but that's just, and then Wickham
So
Sawmill.
when we added the other districts, we didn't bother renaming the original district. We still called it the East Haddam Historic District.
But we could,
So East Haddam Historic so this is consistent.
right,
It's the landings
The
that's
landings needs to be deleted.
Yeah.
is fooling me. Okay.
It might be helpful if it's included as a separate line parenthetically,
Yeah, I was just.
but it is not.
or even starting it by saying District 1, da-da-da.
Whatever, as long as it's consistent.
But
that's
my
only
point is that the landings is not part of the name of the district. If it's parenthetical to, so it's clear what district we're talking about, fine, but there is no official name having the landings.
Okay, so that answers my question, cause I was thrown by that, I said, what's the landings historic
It
district,
doesn't
isn't that
belong,
Main
because
Street
it
or
doesn't
is it?
belong there.
One
No,
of the
what it really
things,
is East Haddam Historic District number
one of the things that's not in here that's in the district books are the maps. There's no maps in
Mhm.
here, and it's clear when you see the map of the East Haddam district that it's.
Oh, I know what it is, yeah, I know what it is, it was just like I say, the landings threw me, so that's all. But I think, yeah, so the point is that, and again, we're not solving this tonight, right, but maybe we need to clean up some of this other stuff too, in the back.
There's also a notation similarly that should be done regarding historic district number 4. Locally, the name is correct here in the document, Wickham Sawmill Historic District. Parenthetically, it is National Register Historic District, Wickham Road Historic District.
Wickham
They
Road.
changed the name.
That's how it got registered with the Park Service. I don't know who did it, but it is a different name. And it should be parenthetically noted that it has a different designator federally.
Federal government.
Yeah, and
tell
it's
them to
actually
change
really
it.
Wickham Road and Joffrey Road. The district is actually Wickham Road and Joffrey Road.
Well, it is, but the federal
Yep.
naming is
Mhm.
Wickham Road Historic District.
Okay.
It wasn't named after the roads, it was named after the sawmill,
I understand that.
which was there.
Again, this was done prior to my joining the commission by a few years. And this was in place, but when it went for National Register, it's Wickham Road Historic District.
Okay.
So, Eric, again, if somebody's researching, looking for information, looking for the National Register nomination, it would be an appropriate parenthetical that it's listed by the National Park Service as the Wickham Road.
Okay.
Here
Historic
again,
District.
we never proposed any of these districts to be registered with the federal government. The state was the one who did it, so it would have been the states that made the decision.
Which brings up my next question.
Go ahead.
Page 10, 11, we start to get into all kinds of inventories. And again, since this is an old document that's now been, again, being rejuvenated, is all of this stuff still correct and accurate and Oriole Rock Shelter Archaeology Site is on the National Register of Historic District?
Yeah, they're
As far
on
as the
the
floodplains are
register,
concerned,
and there are,
it's Wickham Road.
I think there's 3 sites that are on the register, the National Register, that are not clearly identified where they are because they have Native American
Aerials.
right.
Yeah, my only question is if we're going through the exercise down the road here, is this one thing is there anything that's changed? You know, I mean, the Brownell Mill is on Connecticut Historical Commission
Right.
inventory.
What, but
Is it still? I don't know, I mean,
I don't see why it would have been stripped from the registry.
It's on here somewhere. And I saw-
Brownell is on page 11.
I don't know, I'm just saying, my only point is this still all accurate? I don't know, I'm just bringing it up as a
Well, I
question,
don't-
if we're going through this.
I would assume once it's on, like the state register or the national register, the only way it would be off is if
Yeah,
Building
these
fell
were
down and burned
lifted
down.
off of that.
it would
Off
it would
the-
continue to stay on there.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just asking, cause
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the purposes of the Historic District Commission, this is fun information, but I don't think it's really pertinent. You know, the Brownell Mill is, you know, part of the Historical Commission inventory. I don't even think this needs to be necessarily on the website, you know, if people are going to look about, how am I going to make a change to my property because I live in a historic district? This doesn't give any
Right, what you
help
have here,
in that direction.
the second doesn't clarify what are in the district, right?
Actually, it looks like only 2 things on this list are not in a historic district. Well, no, the herd house is gone, it's torn down.
that was my question, what's the herd house?
It's gone.
Okay,
Okay, you got the Ray House is not district.
Mm,
Yeah, it says it was demolished on this.
yeah, Oliver Warner House is not, so the Ray
Right.
House. Yes,
The Booge
yes,
House
Boog House is
is in Little District, okay.
the famous fence.
yeah, we don't have to solve this tonight, my only question is if we're going through this
Oh,
exercise,
Yeah,
does some of this need to be updated, that's all.
okay,
That's all I'm asking, so I don't know. I mean, I see George Lord House, Landing Hill Road. I don't,
Yeah, that's the house that Georgiana Costa lived in. It's across the street from,
It was
Yeah.
pink,
Pink House.
Yeah.
Okay.
was pink.
now it's white.
I mean,
Was-
this
or
is,
had been.
this is fun information
It's all-
and is of no use
Well, there's a
to
question
an
there.
applicant.
Well, there's a question, that's.
well, it's useful, it's just not useful as historic district.
It could be an addendum.
Right.
Well, that's why this is fun information that gets put on a website somewhere, and if somebody's interested in looking
Yeah.
at that list, fine. But it has nothing to do with the goal
Right.
of helping people apply for certificate of
Which is why we should
appropriateness.
never mail it.
Again, this is stuff that would be on the website and it would be subordinate to what
Yeah.
the primary
Yeah.
information would be.
Just listed as an addendum at the end.
So,
Will, do you have another one of those?
pardon me,
Do you have another one of those?
I don't have another copy here, if you wanna look at this one, you can. Can you pass that
The
over to
important,
Bruce?
Yes, I know, you're in here a couple of times.
the important, right there.
Yes, but you're
Okay,
also
so anyway, that's just a fine point, but
Okay.
I think we gotta go back to the point at hand, and the point at hand is, we're talking about 4 pages. Tightened up so it's a little more
thought it was in here twice.
directorial, if you will, so we're directing people what to do
Okay,
as property owners.
alright,
I didn't wanna say
Read
dictatorial.
it twice.
I agree, yeah.
So should only be one.
alright,
Unless it's in the signatory too.
alright.
Okay. You're only.
So if everybody's okay with this at the moment, we can table further discussion on this, cause I would like to also go back to the visit to the Brownell Mill, since it didn't get recorded last time, except for my scribbly notes. Which kind of look like this.
I do have a note on page 11. If this does get published on the website, first there's a section that talks about Connecticut State Park and forest oppression, blah, blah, blah. Working Girls is stuck in there, and then it talks about the three bridges, which really belong under the heading of the Connecticut State Park.
Oh, yeah, right.
Working Girls should be at the end, and chronologically, that was the last National Register entry.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
put that
try to-
down in
Because
there.
try to
everything else is chronological.
Try to list them chronologically from when they were put on the.
Almost, cause the three extra districts actually came after Working Girls.
Hmm.
By 30 years.
These are the things to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that brings up, let me, again, I don't want to go off on another tangent here. But if we're saying that there are 4 historic districts,
Yes.
we know that. How can we say Working Girls is a historic district?
Because it is, we have 4
We have,
Local.
there are
historic districts.
local districts and then there are districts within the National Registry. So the Working Girls is within the National Registry.
And what adds
Not to
to,
make it more complicated, the first East Haddam
I was
district
just gonna talk about that.
is
Yeah.
It's
partly
Yeah,
local,
because some,
partly federal.
that's what I'm saying,
It's
some of the
both.
1, 2, 3, and 4 are already listed
Right,
on page
Yeah.
10.
right.
Right, as
But
national.
But number 1 district is, the original that is local is smaller
It
than the
goes-
National Register district.
It goes down onto
So,
Lumberyard Road,
Lumberyard Road and
Creamery
Creamery
Road,
Road.
That's right.
and up
Which are
further.
not local,
Right.
are part of the National Register Historic District.
Okay.
And so that's another thing that got changed, just like Wickham Sawmill got changed to Wickham Road
Mhm.
at the federal level. For whatever reason, they didn't like the word sawmill, because I guess, because the sawmill physically
I
doesn't
can't remember
exist
his name
anymore. There's only foundation stones, and some remnant of sluice way. So there was an objection to use, I remember that, because I was on the district when it went National Register. And there was some objection to the use of the word sawmill.
Alright, sorry, back to Brownell.
So though, that's another parenthetical.
Well, it's another reason why there's too much information can be dangerous, in a sense.
Okay.
Tighter is better, without causing confusion.
Now, the other part of this is when it's done, it will go to the people that have property in the local district.
The 4 districts.
All right. Can we move on to talk about Brownell Mill? And I'm gonna ask Steve and Jack to talk about that since you were present for that. So,
Well, I mean, we talked about it last time pretty much, I mean, there's not much to say, it's a sorry state of affairs. The potential it seems to remain is the later brick addition in the back. It's got some potential, other than that. Save some windows perhaps, you know, maybe repurpose some windows if that were possible. But other than that, the place is pretty much toast, so.
Jim Ventris made one other observation about the building is the floors, the ceiling heights are much lower than what people would be accustomed to dealing with now. You know,
Well, it's more than just used to,
Right.
those were also fire marshal parameters.
right,
You know, I mean, those weren't
Right.
just like, people aren't used to that, or people don't want that.
Right.
The concept of even trying to repurpose it, in Jim's words,
Mhm.
is a huge problem because of those heights.
Yeah.
From a
And-
compliance point.
the collapsing, and then the fact that support beams aren't even touching,
Support beams are floating in midair.
right,
Yeah, I tried to suggest maybe after he demolishes it, if he ever wanted to rebuild it, repurpose it as like an apartment or something, like not the same building, of course, but a similar replica that would have a different use.
Mhm.
He seemed mildly open to that. I wouldn't say he was jumping for joy, but he seemed like he would consider the possibility of that.
Did you talk with him more afterwards? I know you guys.
No, I went home with you.
Pardon me?
I went home with you.
Yeah, no, but I know you and he exchanged information.
Yeah, I haven't talked with him since.
Okay, all right.
He's a businessman, he seems sensitive to the issue, but he also has some realities, he's like, look at this place, you know. And like I said, I think he did make the statement that he and his partner believe that the brick addition on the back is like the crown jewel of the
Right,
of the complex.
right.
You know, and turn it into a brewery, I don't know, but whatever, I mean, the point is that he seems sensitive to the fact that that place is pretty cool
Right.
and it's got some pretty good potential.
It should have been sort of dealt with like 30 years ago or.
Well, yeah.
Right.
What is it, he
We
just
have to
stepped in.
go back to, I don't know if Bruce Severs knows when that brick addition was added.
It looked 1860s to 70-ish. Like it looked like that range.
Because it's not anything you're gonna find in land records. But he may have gotten the date from Crary when he interviewed Crary Brownell
Mm-hmm.
Senior about it.
The brick addition still has, by the way, pulley drives and stuff up in the ceiling.
And most of the original windows too.
Okay. Anything else? I don't have
Well, in a
anything.
way, I think the one thing that's very interesting that maybe we could think about, you know, if it ends up with the original mill, the demise of the original mill, it could unlock, in a sense, the opportunity for people to say, what the hell is that there? Because nobody knows that brick, I never knew that brick,
No,
addition was
right.
back there. So in a way, you know, okay, you don't wanna see the mill itself, you know, I mean, cause it's already gone to rack and ruin. But the upside could be that it unlocks this other little
Mhm.
crown
Little
jewel.
gem.
Yeah.
Right.
That nobody knows is there.
Is the mill scheduled to be torn down?
It's not scheduled that I know, I mean, basically,
there's
there's no schedule, they just.
No, the current owners came to Jim and said, would somebody look at this? We know it's not salvageable. But could somebody look at this and get some feedback about it? And that resulted in Steve and Jack and I were able to go on, what was it, 17th of November?
With
On
Jeff.
Sunday in November and look at it, peer inside, but we didn't actually go inside.
With Jim Ventris.
Right, and Jim Ventris was
Up
with
to
us
speed
too.
on, again, a lot of the fire marshal concerns and that sort of thing.
I think on the second floor, we went inside about 6-8 feet, which was still stable enough for us to then walk through to the section that was built in maybe 1860s. So,
Is that the only entry into the brick building?
pardon me?
Is that the only entry into the brick
No,
building?
no, there was another entry to
Got a
the brick
formal-
building, but we
Okay.
went around, we looked downstairs on that level, and then we walked around outside, and then on the upper level, we came in and then entered into that building that way. But that was about the most of the flooring that was safe for people to walk on.
The only other thing we said too, we looked at it and the other thought was like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to retain the tower, whatever you wanna call it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much, there's nothing there either. And even if you do that, it's gonna be standing there by itself. Because the brick building, which has got all the upside potential, is 80 feet away or whatever, so there's no, if it was connected to the brick, you know, building, you could clear, you know, you could sort of, you can't do that either.
Is the bell still in the tower?
I couldn't tell you, we couldn't get near
That's
it.
how they called the workers to come to work.
We couldn't get near it, so. That we couldn't get near.
Joe, are you catching this?
Now, this guy was not English. You have an English accent, the guy
No,
who
he was
owned
American.
it? Okay, cause the people who owned it before with the English accent had us come before
In this building,
to look at the
has
building.
any historic
We
value,
came to the
I mean, or
same
Jim
conclusion.
Well,
mentioned some of that.
The fact
Jim
that
mentioned some of that.
it's on the Connecticut registry. And so in that sense, it's historically, significant, but the building is literally collapsing from the inside.
Problem with the building, it had a sluice going right through the middle of it. And the water that's still sitting in there has destroyed the building from the inside out.
So is there anything there that has any real interest?
Of the newer, I quote newer section built in maybe 1860s, which did appear to be salvageable. And we all walked in that with no concerns about.
The other thing that's interesting about the brick section that was added on is that the first floor is post and beam. The second floor is all truss.
It could be used for offices or
It's all-
studios.
The second floor is
or,
totally open space
you know,
with truss construction, so there are no posts on the second floor. Which, like I say, it's totally open space.
That second
Hybrid-
building is structurally
Hybrid
sound.
structure. So,
Panema Mill in Hackville, the fourth floor is completely devoid of any structure.
Mhm.
The fifth floor is hung from the ceiling, from the roof structure, and it's extra high. It's an amazing building. All the rest of the floors have posts,
is that right?
but the fourth floor, no
Apparently it's-
posts, and it's probably 50% taller than the rest of the floors. It's a huge cavern, well, it was, now it's apartments,
That
but
was important.
back when I worked there. It was an amazing building.
So that's what we know.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you very much.
I think the other thing that should be mentioned is the fact that the owner was sincere, cooperative, you know, he's like I say, he's up against it because of what it is, but he's being sincere and cooperative.
Who is the owner?
I forget his name, I forget what his name
Dutch?
is.
I
No,
can't-
no,
No,
Dutch
that's the
still
other,
zero.
it's the other mill next door. Dutch owns the one,
In fact, you must
Next
know,
door.
did you get his name?
I don't remember his name.
And behind that are the 1960s era building and warehouses and stuff. And actually, some of that, the newer sections have been refurbished and are already being rented out. Okay, I don't have any other things to bring up for discussion this meeting.
So I talked to Jim Ventris,
Mhm.
cause you asked me to about the people who have done things without coming before us. So I
Right.
told him about Champion House Hotel, I told him about the columns
Mhm.
on the porch, I told him about the cupola, the windows, the 6/6s converted to 9/1s.
Mhm.
For some reason, he didn't seem to think that we had much jurisdiction over conversion of 6/6s to 9/1s, but I tried to tell him that was a major concern.
Are they, did I notice they were 6/6s the other day? Did they maybe put some
So what he did, I know what he did, cause it's
white tape or I
he
don't know?
put, he made it 9/9s by using tape,
That's what I'm saying.
which is now peeling off. So if you look, you can see the tape like curling in
Cause I drove by and I said,
This is
I see-
up in the,
in the
in the
cupola.
cupola, up in the cupola, I didn't see any ones up there, I said, it's like 6/6 or
Yeah.
9/9, what are
I
they?
have photos of it.
So you did it with tape.
He did it with tape, he just went up there with tape and maybe a level. And then,
Well, that could be dangerous, cause the cupola's probably sitting like this. If you put it with a level, it could be a problem.
yeah. I get the photo. Yeah, you can see the tape
Yeah, there you go.
peeling off. Yeah, the tape's peeling off up there. So he replaced the 6/6s with 9/1s, and then I think he got your letter or something. So then he like panicked and then put tape, which still is 9/9 versus 6/6. So it's, and they're vinyl, that too. So
Well, you gotta give him credit for trying, I mean.
he's trying. So Jim said he would talk to him about that and get him before us. I don't know if you've heard anything, if he's talked to you since then, but he hasn't contacted me, and obviously they're not here. So I don't know what happened with that. I talked to him about Society Hall
Mhm.
and all the stuff he's done. He said the same thing, that he'd get him before us.
There have been things that have happened in the past where people did a lot of changes on something and then just basically came and said, put in an application, and then the commission at the time would say, okay, because then we have it for the record as to what modifications
Yeah.
were made.
Some of the modifications we're talking about are not necessarily things we wouldn't approve. Like the Society Hall, maybe we would request some change to the design, but overall they're things that we would usually approve. But then other things like the Champion House Hotel with the windows, I doubt we would have approved that. So it's like a mixture of things where we wouldn't have
Right.
approved and would have approved. So, and then I also talked to him, I forget the address, but the Second Empire Mansard Roof House that's on the river.
Which,
The one right next to the power lines.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
the
one
one next
behind
to
the
the power
cemetery?
lines. I talked to him,
Watrous House.
yeah, I talked to him about that because they replaced the front steps. And they put those,
the Mansard.
the mansard, yeah. And they put those concrete paver
Yeah.
columns on each side of the driveway. He said he'd talk to them about that and get them before us. So, and I talked to him about the Gelston House sign, which we talked about at the last meeting. How they, with the like ultra white bulbs. He said
They appear to have been changed.
they changed them?
Yes.
Okay.
They're not ideal, I don't think, because they still don't quite light up the sign. They don't function as a sign illumination.
Yeah.
But they are warm white now.
Mm-hmm.
They do slightly a better job at lighting up which was not nil with what they first put in.
So you can read the sign a little, I mean,
Barely.
you couldn't read
Barely.
the sign, what was
Well,
this
it was so
glow?
glare because it was the white, cold white LEDs were so glary, you couldn't see anything behind them.
It was like one of those tobacco shows.
Now they're warm white, I still don't think they're the ideal,
Yeah, I agree.
but they're an improvement. I mean, I still think that they should be glass bulbs with a LED filament inside. They'll look historic, give the right kind of light, and illuminate the sign, and the right color. But there has been a change, and I did note that it's in the right direction, but I still don't think it's right.
So Jim said, I don't know if this is true, but he said we didn't have purview over the light bulbs on the sign.
Oh, yes, we most assuredly
So he said he wouldn't contact them about the sign, because he said we didn't have purview over the light.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
You have purview
That's what I
over
thought.
Yes,
you
we
have
do.
purview over signs.
Yeah.
And lighting.
Yes, and how they are
And
illuminated.
lighting.
And especially because the illumination is visible.
Yeah.
We're not talking about hiding a floodlight in a shrub
Yeah.
or spotlight.
Yeah.
Okay, which we also talk about. And what the kind of lighting is and how it's gonna be disguised with shrubbery or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we most assuredly
Yeah.
have authority over how that sign
He said
is
it
lit.
wasn't a change.
It
Like
is
he
a
said
change.
it's still lighting, so it's not a
No,
change. I didn't
no.
agree with that.
No,
Yeah.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, so, that's what I have to report.
But that, okay, and thank you, but that goes back to where we started, which is clarification of detail in
Yeah.
the guidelines.
Yeah, and I talked to him about that right before Thanksgiving, so the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, so I don't know how we know if anything has progressed with that, but they should be getting contacted by Jim at some point soon.
Right.
I got one last question. Do we know anything about Levita?
No,
Great
I
job.
don't know anything about it.
I heard that that
Nice page.
They're painting it, they're doing,
Johnson bought it,
right,
Yeah, Jim.
Jim Johnson bought it. Of course, he also bought the National Bank of New England building and then sold it to the
Mhm.
to the guy that put up the fence across the
And now it's
driveway.
residential, yeah.
Yes. So heaven knows who he's going to sell the building to, but he did buy it and fix it up.
They haven't made any changes that
No.
no,
would
but
be.
they're in there operating, Dutch Oil was in there with a couple of
Yeah.
trucks the other day too, getting it, I guess, fired up.
I've been told their estimated opening is February.
Who's
There's a restaurant?
Yes, a
Is it?
restaurant.
oh,
Right around when the bridge is supposed to be finished.
Yeah,
do we know who it is?
they said the same family as Corvo.
Oh, really?
I have no idea who Corvo is.
It's
At
across
the
the
golf
river.
I can
course.
find out about that.
No, that's Rustica.
Corvo
Corvo's
is up
at
in
the golf
Middletown,
course.
Oh, Corvo's at the golf course.
Yeah, right.
In Modus?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
in Moodus, in the Moodus
Moodus.
golf course. Yeah.
And the family is, what do you call it, in Portland, oh god, I just forgot the name.
What was the name of Jack's?
The family, Corvo's the son. The son runs Corvo and the family is back in Portland off of 66, what the hell's the name of that restaurant?
Wasn't there a restaurant up there called Jack's or something?
Yeah, Jack's was a
Yeah.
tavern or something.
Tavern?
If you Google restaurants in Portland, as soon as you tell me the name, I'll know it. Zach, if you can do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Garrett.
Okay.
Lechin,
Nope.
there's one. Screen Door East Side, Q Restaurant and Bar, Portland City Grill, Mother's Bistro and Bar, Dolly Olive. Oh wait, sorry, it's Portland, Oregon, sorry.
I was gonna say, that sounds, I'm gonna have to check some of those places out.
Terrazza, Campagna,
Yeah, Campania.
yeah,
The Campania in Portland, that family, the son,
Okay.
name is Emil, he runs Corvo. And he's done a very good job,
They
which
said-
is,
they said a former Corvo chef will be doing it and it will be a taste from all around the world or something like that. That's what I heard at Higher Grounds, that's where I got the scoop.
I actually have.
next
the
time I see Emil, I'll
menu.
ask him. So,
Yeah. I used to go there all the time because their I think that Rollatini is the best ever.
where was that?
But La Vita,
Oh, Levita.
yeah,
I miss
Okay.
Levita.
yeah,
Me too.
Well, it's good, something's happening, if something's
Yeah.
happening, that's great.
yeah.
Right.
More things in walking distance, the better.
If there are no further topics, I'll welcome the motion to.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Ayes?
Aye.
Okay, this motion is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Have a good holiday,
Yes,
Thank
nice
you.
holidays.
whatever holiday